and what you yeah, and what you get to have if you do all the steps and believe in yourself and never give up. Because
George, that means a lot, brother.
yeah, no, it's I've been following since I started to launch this podcast several months ago. I started following you, and out of all the guys doing what you do, you're the real deal. Like honestly, there's like nobody else is like you. You like plus you're so reachable and you have touched so many people's lives, but you are just this regular guy. And I really love that about you. I wanted to say that start out, and I'm honored to have you as a guest.
George, and I have one question for you.
Go.
What does that H stand for?
Harvard. My son, my son graduated Harvard. I got two.
You must be a proud dad.
Oh my, come on! Graduated top of his class at Harvard. Another son is a pediatric doctor of oncology in Portland, Oregon. So, and I brought them up under the reason why I do this podcast is I brought them up under the dream, believe, never give up. Like I've been like that my whole life. I've really never had a job. I've always worked for myself, done a ton of different things. And so my kids watched me during their life. Like here's this guy that basically they called me the dad. My dad was a circus director, and they watched me struggle at times and do well. And I always was honest with them. And I brought them up under dream, believe, never give up. I write it on their lunch box. And so this show came from that story of me bringing them up that way. So what I love about you is we have a lot in common. I love to hear the story of you finding your avatar and what you. I tell you, I am like such a preacher of what. I turned you on to a couple of buddies of mine that are really successful entrepreneurs. You know what they said? The biggest thing, the honor they give you is they said, love listening to the guy.
Whoa.
Love what he has to say. And I said, man, that's exactly what I say. I was like, I've been there, done it a bunch of times, but I love listening and watching you turn other people on to what we know, kind of. I really feel like you have a gift of communication, which blows my mind. I mean, seriously. I mean, I was listening to one of your podcasts, and my girlfriend says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm listening." She said, "George, you're listening to those things. You're listening to those things all the time." I said, "I know, the guy's like amazing. You want to hear more, honey?" It's like funny, but
man, that's
really good. But so I just really am honored you took the time today to like I said.
Well, you got me until 40 past. I'm back to back today, so 15 minutes starting now.
You got it. Okay, man, great. So, we've got John Lee Dumas. I call you Johnny like I know you. Sorry. Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire with us today. So everybody I mentioned this to already knew who you were. I swear to God. People, oh yeah, I know that guy. I'm like, oh my God. Vic, my producer, goes, this guy is really the real deal, man. Like we're laughing. Yeah, Vic was in the hospital. He'd be better now, but he was really sick. And like I want to people can go to your website, Entrepreneurs on Fire, and look at what you do and your program and everything you do. Because my program, my show, Dream Believe, is set up for people that are taking that first step, that the fear that's involved, believing in themselves. So I'd like you to kind of touch on a little bit when your process of getting to where you are now and taking that first step and believing in yourself and never giving up. Like we all know that's like a huge part of where, you never gave up. I'm sure there was ups and downs, but I think my show is more designed for people. I'm inspiring and motivating people to take the first step. 98% of people live their whole life never following their dream or goal. They never experience trying. They don't even, you know what I mean? So you and I have been there, done that. And I want you, as someone who's had extreme success and also preaches that word now to many others, what it was like for you to step into the arena.
Well, first off, let me just say, I'm excited to be here. Love your energy, love your vibe. You're just a likable person. And I don't say that about everybody, because frankly, not everybody's a likable person. Most people they have their good qualities. You're just a real likable person, which is a great quality of yours. And I love how you just let that shine from without. So not that you're going to stop.
Thank you. No,
don't stop.
No. Thank you very much.
Not that you're capable of stopping, but don't stop. And, we could talk for hours. Unfortunately, I've got a pretty strict 15 minutes to hang out with you here today. We have a lot to talk about. So I will dive right in. I'm pretty passionate about people stepping into the arena, because that's where all the magic happens, man. Listen, It is outside of your comfort zone. You guys want to stay in your comfort zone, that little rut that we've all created that's just like comfortable, it's cozy, it's warm. We know what we're doing. You know, as humans, we hate change because change can be scary, change can be difficult. That's the comfort zone. If you want to stay there your whole life, you will have a massive amount of regrets when you're in your last days of life. And there's a fantastic book called The Five Biggest Regrets of the Dying, where these individuals, they just are interviewed and they're asked the question, what's your biggest regret? Is
Right.
that they didn't essentially get out of their comfort zone and chase their dreams. They let other people's opinions keep
Right.
them down. And that's such a regret. And don't be one of those 98% of people that George mentions that, you know, frankly, never step into the arena, because
Right.
the arena that's where all the magic happens. And guess
Yeah.
what? You're going to fail. You're going to struggle. You're going to cry and have doubts and despair because you're a human being. But that's where all the magic happens too. That's
Yeah.
where all the success, the happiness, the true joy, the real satisfaction. And that's a word that I think we don't talk a lot about, George, but it's like most people never taste true satisfaction. And that was me for 32, 35 years of my life.
Yep.
But when I finally tasted what true satisfaction meant, that I had stepped into the arena, that I had tried, that I failed, that I picked myself back up, failed again, finally found something that worked, doubled down, busted my butt, and then tasted real, true, authentic success. Then a new taste entered my mouth, and I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
a taste called satisfaction. And
Yeah.
man, there's nothing like it in this
No.
world of knowing that you put yourself out there and succeeded. And by the way, when you look at people on the podium during this year's Olympics,
Yeah.
what you're seeing in their eyes when they're holding up their medal is satisfaction, because
Yeah.
they put thousands of hours into a 10-second event or
Right.
a 1-second event or whatever that might be. And that's turned into what they're holding up now. And that is satisfaction.
Faction. Yeah,
And
I
it's
got you.
amazing. So get into the arena, take action. It's going to be scary. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be dirty. Do it way before you think you're ready.
Yeah.
And
That's
man,
right. Take the
it happen.
chance. Yeah. And you know what? Let's talk a little bit about never giving up, because I think that's a really, really big key. You know, it's funny. I asked a guy once, how did you become so successful? You know what he said? Because I stayed in it longer than everybody else. And that's kind of the other side of never giving up. You know, I mean, like here, you know, he actually was a stand-up comedian. He actually was Daryl Hammond from Saturday Night Live. I was traveling with him on the road, opening for him. And I asked him one night in the green room, I said, he goes, Georgie, I stayed in it longer than everybody else. I never forgot that as I went through my life, you know, because that, you know, every entrepreneur I've interviewed has all say that that's the reason why they are where they are. Would you agree?
People ask me what my recipe for success is.
Yes.
And it is
Good.
consistency.
Okay.
The fact that I've showed up over 3,000 days in a row. That's almost a decade right now, as you and I are talking, and release an episode interviewing a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's me staying in the game
Yeah.
longer than other people are able and willing to stay in the game for. You know, that
Yes.
is why I have continued to have, you know, the financial success,
Yep.
just the
Yeah.
overall business success,
Yeah.
the life success. That's why I'm in literally the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
17
Yeah.
years old. I mean, I'm 41 right now.
You look great.
Like,
You look
I
fantastic.
would
You look like
smoke.
you're 25. Yeah, it's funny.
That's
Yeah.
what- I would smoke the 25-year-old version of
Yeah.
JLD. I would
Yeah.
run that guy into the ground. I look better with
I
my
love it.
shirt off.
I love
I
it.
feel better. I have more energy, all because I've
Yeah.
stayed in the game longer,
Yeah.
you know, and I've built up my daily routine of working out every day, of exercising, of
Yeah.
eating the right foods, of working on the right things in my business, of producing the right content
Yeah.
every single day for longer than other people are willing to. Like, do you know how many daily shows interviewing entrepreneurs have launched since I launched and started making
Right.
hundreds of thousands of dollars a month? I mean,
Yeah. Right.
success leaves clues. So
Yeah.
my success had people wanting to replicate what I had achieved,
Right.
but they weren't able to remain consistent, to show up every day and keep doing what I've now done for
Yeah.
almost a
Yeah.
decade. And
It's beautiful. It
that is the secret recipe to
Yeah.
success.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? You really personify that in everything you do. What you just said, you personify that 110%. Every time I listen to you, every time I hear something you said or read something, I can hear you saying it, you know, and that's when you know you have the gift of what you're doing. You
And by the
you
way,
really
I
do.
did not have the gift in 2012.
Right.
I couldn't speak. I couldn't interview. Like this kind of energy and vibe and
Yeah.
just fluidity that you're
Right.
bringing to the interview right
Right.
now, I
Right.
didn't
Right.
have those skills
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
show up every day
Yeah.
and do this,
Yeah.
speak into this microphone badly, and then kind of bad, and then okay, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
1,000+ episodes later,
Right. Right.
okay, now you're getting kind of good. It was showing up every day,
Yeah.
being willing to be bad
Yeah. You
consistently
have to. You have to.
to acquire this gift that you now talk about. That, by the way, when you say that, I receive it because I know how hard I worked
Right.
to achieve this gift that wasn't
Right.
given to me at birth or the first 32 years of my life.
Right.
It was given by blood, sweat, and tears,
Yes.
putting
Yeah.
in the reps.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what? The one thing I would say about you that really impresses me the most is how humble you are.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, and I learned that from my two boys as they grew up and became successful. They taught me to be more humble, and I see that in you as another really successful guy. Is that along with that comes being a little humble and being able to talk the way you just spoke about your career and
Because I
how
know how
there
bad
were-
I was. I
Yeah,
can just,
yeah.
for some people, it was 10 years ago
Right,
that I was that bad. For
right,
me, it was yesterday. Like it's
yeah,
that I can go there,
right,
boom, yesterday, I
right.
was that bad.
Yeah,
And
but look,
so,
yeah,
like when you tell me that I have a gift, I'm just
yeah,
like, man,
yeah,
I know when I did not have that gift.
right,
And
right.
also, I grew up with the right parents. Like apparently your kids
Yeah,
as well, being,
yes,
the first top of his class in Harvard. I mean, you've done
my
something right over
son.
the
Yeah, yeah,
years,
yeah,
but
yeah,
my mother would always tell me, and my uncle actually as well, they would also
yeah,
always kind of repeat this phrase of be humble, be happy. So
yeah,
I always equated
yeah, yeah,
humbleness with being happy. And
yeah, yeah.
man, I've interviewed enough people who
Yeah,
have told me the story of how their highest point of pride always came right before the fall.
yeah,
They made me realize that, man, that will
yeah.
take you down faster than anything else. And there's actually a great show I'm watching right now called Dr. Death, which is, by the way, a show
Right,
that was made out of a podcast, and it was a fantastic podcast. Now it's a TV show with some huge actors: Alec Baldwin,
right,
Christian Slater, Pacey
right.
from
Yeah,
Dawson's Creek, and you see it firsthand on
yeah,
how his ego is the number one reason for his fall, his
yeah, yeah,
collapse.
yeah. Right, yeah, yeah. And you know what? And I looked back at myself and my career, and when they told me that, I took it from my own sons as one of the biggest gifts they've ever given me. Was, Dad, you're really good. You love to do what you do. You're always running. More humble. Because if you ask them, if you sit in a room and have dinner with them, they'll never say that one's a doctor and one graduated Harvard. But, and I'm so proud of them. But you know what I say? People say, how did they become so successful? I taught them to believe in themselves, and I love them a lot. That's the true, for me, how they went and did what they did. I wasn't the smartest guy in the world. I wasn't blah, blah, blah. I tried to lead by example and show them how hard work pays off. And when I failed, I sat them down in front of me and I said, you know what? Things didn't go too well. Dad's going to really have to work now. Now we're going to see if I really want my dream. And they remember those conversations. So it's interesting how we do that in our lives and how we share. And that's what I love about you. You're so open about your success and what it took to get there, because that's what everyone I interview, just like you, has those stories. And those are the most important stories that they have. They don't want to talk about how great they were and how they made all this money last quarter and whatever, and their products sold for $200 million. No, they want to talk about having the dumpsters taken away. The company was going under, and they repossessed the dumpsters. Travis Rosbach from Hydro Flask told me. He said, "Georgie, they took my dumpsters.
They literally took away my trash."
Yeah. So it's like, and everyone I speak with, just like you, those are the stories that they really want to share. Are those, they don't want we all know about the success once you hit the numbers. But I want to ask you just one more thing, or not one more thing. I was to ask you if I can. Finding the right idea. It's really a big part of your or finding the right idea. I find it really interesting in your program to just talk about that for a bit, because people a lot of times have a lot of ideas. They're not quite as focused. And I read, I believe, like you, it's all about what you're really passionate about. Don't worry about what anybody says, but I want to hear a little bit about what you have to say about that.
Yeah. So it's easy to come up with a lot of ideas. What's hard is to find your personal big idea, the idea that's right for you for a number of reasons. And if it was easy, hey, everybody be doing it. It's
Yeah.
not easy. It's
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of a couple things. It's a combination of what I like to say, like on the left side would be passion, excitement, enthusiasm, like things that you love doing.
Right.
But on the right side over here, it's expertise, it's skills, it's knowledge, it's value that you can add to the world. It's a combination. Smash those things together, and what sticks together? Like, what are you passionate about that you also have skills in?
Right.
What are you excited about that you also can bring value to the world in? That's the zone of fire. That's where your big idea truly lies. Because if it's just something you're passionate about, which is important,
Right.
but if it's just your passion, that's just a hobby.
Right.
And if
Exactly.
it's just something that you're good at or you have skills in, then that's something you're going to get burned out at and not want to keep doing, and not doing, what you and I talked about earlier, which is just showing up every single day.
Right.
Because you don't have passion for it. You won't. You'll stop. It has to be that combination of the two.
Yeah.
That's your zone of fire. And it's hard to get that because it's got to have those attributes. It can't have one or the other. It's got to have both.
Right.
That's the secret sauce for success.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that you preach is know your avatar. Really big. I found that really interesting when I first started listening to you. It made me reflect back, because I did it without really thinking about it, and I focused in all the time to say, well, what's the demographic of what I want to do, and who is that customer, or who is that person? I always went backwards to find my avatar. Like, I wanted to do this, but then I went backwards to find the avatar, because I looked and did the research of how big is the category and how many people would listen to this.
It sounds like we have a lot to talk about. So it seems like you could bring me back on.
I love it. I would.
Because
I love it.
A lot to talk about, brother.
Good. All right, man.
Joy.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations for all your success. Thank you.
Thank you
for being a fan and a follower of Entrepreneurs on Fire. It means a lot. And
okay, man. Thank you so much. Let's do it again. Okay. Thanks, John. Bye, man.